Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U. Thanks for stopping by. The number 5 Miami Hurricanes win 49-12 over number 18 USF. There's a lot to get into with the game, the offense and the defense. A lot of players played well, a lot of units played well in this one, obviously with the score like this. But huge news coming out right after the game. It was announced that University of Miami will be hosting College Game Day next week when the Florida Gators come to town. So on campus is going to be great, another great environment like they had the last time they hosted College Game Day in 2017 when Miami played Notre Dame. So great to see that Miami is going to be on that national stage, as they already are, the number 5 team in the country. But this happening for this program, I think it's just such a great sign. It's something that everybody's been waiting for Miami to be on the national stage, competing for high-level stakes and needing to put together an impressive resume. And I think that's what they've been doing so far. You know, look, USF had 2 top 25 wins coming into tonight's game, and Miami really controlled this one. I was really impressed with how they dominated on a lot of areas. You know, they were able to run the ball. Mark Fletcher over 100 yards, finds the end zone. Carson Beck over 300 yards passing. The touchdowns were there. I know he had the 2 picks with a high completion percent. The picks just kind of happened. I thought he addressed those head on afterwards. And look, the wide receivers, a lot of guys made plays tonight. You know, Keelan Marion, a high level number of catches. Josh Moore, great to see him with not only his first touchdown as a Miami Hurricane, but his second as well. And just going deep on that play, the 39-yard touchdown pass. And it reminded me of what I saw from Josh in fall camp. One-on-one situation, going deep. Carson Beck put it in the right spot, and Josh did an excellent job of not only coming down with the catch, but, you know, showing strong hands, you know, on the defensive back right there, and really grasping it and taking advantage of his opportunity. Look, you know, Josh is a guy that didn't have the high production the first couple of games like he would like, and then in this one he did, and certainly he's going to be a factor. And Carson Beck said afterwards, it was great to see a young guy step up, and he said Josh had a 3 touchdown performance in a scrimmage this fall and felt like that was good to see, and he felt like he could help him this season, and I do believe so. I believe so in fall camp because of the attributes that he has. It was great to see Malachi Tony, another highly productive game. CJ Daniels, hopefully he's okay. Got banged up there late in the game, but another productive game from him. And I really liked how Miami performed in 2 key areas. 7-11 on third down, so that's great efficiency there. 5 of 5 in the red zone, and not just scoring points in the red zone, but 5 for 5. All 5 were touchdowns. Miami did a good job from the jump, getting ahead 14-0. And even when it's 14-3, they go into this long break, the long delay, nearly 2 hours. And you never know how a team's going to come out of the break. Even though Miami was rolling at that point, they looked very good early, but you never know what a break might do for either team. And Miami, even though they did give up a score there, they came out and they responded, and they played really well the rest of the way. It didn't affect them at all. I thought the offense was great, and overall, I think there's just a lot to be excited about with what I saw from tonight's game, because of how they were able to control the game. And this is the identity that they wanted. This is what they hoped for, that they could run the ball, they could pass with efficiency. Carson's making really tough throws too. Kind of watching him make throws from the from the opposite hash all the way to the opposite sideline. Those strong throws that he's making, and quick throws. And it's very impressive to watch him. And on that touchdown with Josh Moore that I mentioned, as I was watching that play develop and I had my eyes kind of focused on that left side of the field for him, Malachi Tony kind of popped open, and his defender was not even maybe within 10 yards. And I thought Carson was a little bit late if he was going to go to Malachi, but he said essentially no, he wasn't going to Malachi. He wanted to go deep and put it up there for Josh. I thought that was a great throw. And just throughout the night, Carson was in control. The offensive line deserves a lot of credit. And really, look, I thought this game was going to be much closer. A lot of people did, obviously. You're not expecting this, but this is what happened last time Miami played USF. Miami just imposed their will on both sides of the ball. And the defense deserves a lot of credit for how they performed tonight. And look, I know Byron Brown ended up with over 270 yards, and the passing numbers did kind of climb up there a little bit. but he wasn't in complete control. He had those 3 long passes, a 30-yarder, a 43, and a 53-yarder. Look, Miami's got to clean that up. When they're in one-on-one situations, the cornerbacks can't give up long plays. That could be a problem moving forward, but overall, I thought Byram was uncomfortable and unproductive and inefficient, and I thought the defense did a great job of swarming to the ball. They didn't let him get comfortable. Only had 2 yards rushing, and well over 10 carries. So very inefficient running. Thought they did a good job. 4 tackles for loss as a defense. Those 2 turnovers that they created. The interception by Bryce Fitzgerald, again, he's just a freshman making plays when he's given the opportunity, which is great to see. But the defense just did a really good job at all 3 levels, I thought, in making things very difficult for USF. A team that had been coming off 2 wins, they looked good, they were establishing their own identity. Miami just didn't let them get comfortable at all, and I thought that's what was really impressive. And I think it's going to be something, from what I saw tonight, I do think this is something that they can build on moving forward. And it's not just that they put up the 49 points or that the game got out of hand, but again, it's the way they did it. They were in complete control, and you kind of saw, and I said this before in the live updates thread on InsideTheU.com going into the game, that it felt like it had been a long time since that Notre Dame game. I wanted to see what this team was about. I wanted to see them in action more. Last week against Bethune-Cookman, it's difficult to judge a team like that in a lopsided affair like that. So I just want to see them in action again, and I think they answered a lot of questions about their team. For me in particular, just being a little hesitant on some of the things in certain areas. But again, tonight I thought they played well, and I thought it was an impressive performance. And I thought they overwhelmed them. They imposed their will. And look, this Miami team is going to try to do the same thing against Florida with all the hype surrounding College GameDay and everything that's going on there. And I do think that this team understands the stakes at hand going into that game, kind of wrapping up non-conference play, looking to finish 4-0, going into conference play. And look, Miami's the favorite at this point to win the conference, just like last year. As soon as the week 1 was over, Miami becomes a front runner for the ACC. So, and I think they're okay with that. I think they dealt with it pretty well last year. Up until the end, we can all talk about that and remember that. But I think this year's team, with the returners, they understand what happened last year. I think the new guys here, they want to leave their college careers on a positive note, and that's one thing too that's kind of standing out to me with this team. And Carson said it again, he's just really enjoying himself, and he's leading the way. And I think more and more confidence is growing in Carson. Not that there was doubt, but he's actually going out here and producing for the Hurricanes, for this team, and players are really understanding exactly the type of player that he is, and I think it only kind of continues. And I'm curious to see how he plays against Florida. He's done it before when he was at Georgia, that rivalry. And look, he's admitted he did grow up a UF fan, but certainly he wants to give the Gators a loss like he has, when he was at Georgia. So I'm looking forward to that one. There's plenty to discuss with that one, but again, overall thoughts on this one: highly impressive performance, offense, defense, individual players. I think the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit too. This team was ready to play from the jump and after the long delay. So definitely let me know what you thought of this game. Drop in the comments below. Appreciate you guys showing your support. Have a good rest of the weekend, and take care.